All right. I know I've got plenty of other sets I should be reviewing, but I kind of want to get this one on the table and start mocking it because there's some pretty decent stuff about this.
Great guns Legos. Bricks and toys.
All right, toy fans. So listen, this is one of those sets that I had built, put together on live. Ran into a few problems. It does have a lighting kit. It has bricks that are like proprietary bricks that are like Luma bricks, but they're not on the same level. There's some goodness. There's some not so goodness. But for the price you're paying, it's not bad. And actually, overall, as a model house, it'll definitely look good in the city once we get things up and going. But there's going to have to be some fixes down the road. And we want to talk about that because, again, for the price that we're getting, I want us to become better budgeted brick builders. This could be a good set, but there's some things we need to discuss. Now, if you want, I have the link for this down below. You can get out of the Amazon shop, think it through. I'd still get it, but I have it down there for you, so that way you can look and find out, hey, is this kind of what we want to get? And hey, I'll leave that up to you. So let's break down everything that we have with this. So this is the Cayi Blocks. It's the Sakura-Lume Book Nook. 8810, 1,243 pieces. So there's quite a bit to this. A lot of the builds I've gotten recently are in the thousands. Modular. This is modular-esque, but it's not necessarily modular. It does come with the light kit, which is super cool. And the other one that I have that I'm building right now also comes with a light kit, but we'll find that there's some aspects that seem modular, some that don't. Let's look at the box and then we'll break down the toy because I really want us to kind of go in the order we normally go in. Now, it does come in this big box, pretty large box. You get a standard, picture of it, Cayi Blocks, Sakura-Lume Book Nook, and it's one of those resealable boxes that you can always go back and reseal it up. You can't set the model in there and close it up. Unfortunately, it's not as deep like some of the Lumabrick sets. But, you could take parts of it apart, stick it in there. It should be fine. You've got, of course, this nice computer image here. You get to see that it's got opening doors here. It has a opening door on the other side. Now, I've already switched mine around. I'm going to talk about that when we get into the actual toy. We get lots of little details in here. There's a lot of really decent stuff. They say 14 up. I would probably go with that. 14 and up. Unless you want this to be hey, I'm going to work with my kid for this. But some of the wiring and some of the pressure of some of the plates they're a little difficult. But all in all, not a bad build, just not the absolute best build I have ever done. Just something to think about. Okay. We do get a very, very large book. In this book, with all the stuff, you get a lot of the repeat of the same images from the box. They do break things down. Bag 1, 2, 3, I think it goes up to 4 is our fourth bag. I'm trying to remember exactly. I had them marked. 3... Maybe it's just 3 bags. I could have sworn it was 4 bags. So we do get 4 distinct bags that have a lot in it. And they come in Ziploc sealed bags that have all the little bags in it. So you get some big, some small, some medium-sized parts. All of it's in there in a Ziploc bag. So if you took it apart, you could take it apart, put it back in the same bag, and everything would be there, right? So that's kind of cool. Like if I wanted to take this apart and store it, put it together again, I could store it based on its bag. And I like that aspect. I like that idea. I think that's a really good idea. Overall, pretty easy build. Not too bad. There's a lot of repetitiveness to it. And one of the things I wanted to keep in mind is that how they do this is as you're building, they gray out all the sections of things before, which is fine, but it can throw you off on where you're going. Now, one thing that I would say, one of the most immediate things that you should do with this build, especially if you're wanting to put this into a city or move it around, etc., I would actually change. Now, it comes with this 16 by 32, which is half of a base plate length and half of a base plate wide base plate. And when I say base plate, I mean it has no anti-studs underneath. It's not very thick. It's very thin. I would honestly change that. And I would change it into like, a couple of like 16 by 16 blocks that you can put together or stack some plates on top. Something to make this thicker because the base of this is very thin. Not such a bad ordeal in the front or in the house, but when you get to the back of it, it becomes an issue. Now, all in all, pretty decent on the build. There's a few things that kind of puzzled me, like this door opening up to a huge ledge. There's a light kit that kind of goes right in the center. The cool thing about the light kit is USB powered as well, even though it does have a rechargeable battery in it. You can hook it up to a USB cord. However, it is tied to the inside and there's no way to get a cord in or out of this thing. All the spots are taken, and so if you do a USB cord, you're doing an actual USB mini cord, which is, I believe, USB mini or USB micro. You're going to have to find a way to run that in there. So that's just something to keep in mind. A lot of this build is pretty interesting. The way that we're working with the wires, it's okay. They kind of give you ideas of where things are going, how to put like the wire into one way, over here, over here, over here. All in all, it works fairly well, but some of the problems that I have, especially when it comes to some of the wiring, is that it's hard to tell, like, not how much wire you have, but it's more like how much slack are you going to end up having in the long run. And I found that I ran out of wire quite often. And at one point, for I think it was like bag 3, I had to go back and rebuild sections of it to make room for my wiring. Now, I didn't put this on a rotatable plate. I'm going to kind of rotate it here. Reason why is that this was starting to pull, and it was starting to pull things up, because it is in every way that I can mention. I was looking for, I thought I had my little thing up here that would lift it, and of course I don't have a knife on me either, so let me do it like this. It is very thin, and so as you pick it up, this whole thing is starting to pull. I would switch that immediately. Same thing kind of happened when we talked about the BB Tillabricks hardware store. I love the hardware store. I thought it was an amazing build. But one of the first things that I did was I saw immediately that base plate and switched it out for a anti-studded, studded, stackable base plate. Stackable base plates are the way to go with this, just to give it a little bit more room, a little bit more strength to it. You do to get a couple of minifigs. These minifigs are a little bit larger than the Lego minifigs, and you can see they're a little bit taller because they do have turnable knees. So you've got these knees that turn, which is pretty cool, though sadly enough, when we're putting them on the bench, because of the way that they're made, they don't have enough room to clear their butts, so they just kind of fall off. So you kind of have to anti-stud them back onto here, so they're not actually sitting on the bench, they're sitting in front of it, squatting in front of it. It's like they're pooping on the ground. Just kind of odd. We got these cool tassels here. These are studded into the bottoms here, which is nice. One of the key things, if you hear that, a lot of these windows are loose. They're not very tight, so you can't open them up and have them air out and sit out. Instead, they're just kind of open like this. I thought about turning them upside down, but was afraid that they would stay open all the time. That's kind of that was a bit of a killer for me. But all in all, build wise, not too bad. Now, originally the roof opening is supposed to be on this side. I changed it. Here's my reason why. Even though I like the idea of it being over here, you could open it up and look inside, etc., etc. All of the openings for this house are on this side. So, you could open here, and of course open here. And then you'd have to move to the other side to open the roof. So instead, I just reversed the engineering of the roof and brought it up here. So you do have, of course, room in all of these areas. And we're going to kind of zoom in and look. On that bottom floor, you've got some really cool, you got like boxes, and you got like a chair back there, some skates, and it's mainly boxes like someone's moving in. And you've got all these just wires sitting around. On the wall, you've got a ladder, which I'm okay with, and these tools, which are okay. This hat that from the instructions doesn't actually peg up there very well. You have to kind of get another stud to put in there. I had one left over, so I put it in there. And then as you move up into the floors, and you've got this kind of living quarters up here. You've got a clear oven, which I thought was pretty cool. You do have this fridge up here. See if I can get my finger in there and open it. You've got a cool fridge, but it opens to nothing. That would have been a really good place for a sticker. We got some hanging pots and pans, and got some really nice flowers in the window. We've got a book that says There and Back Again. This table that's right in front of the door, and a couch over here in front of the window, and some more boxes. And then, of course, we get some pictures, which are nice, and another ladder. Not too bad on this floor, but again, that wiring is a bit of a problem. We had all this leftover slack, which is interesting because when I first built it, I didn't have enough slack. Rebuilt it, had tons of slack. And I was like, okie dokie. And then as you move up into this room here. Now, granted, keep in mind, this is opposite of how it was supposed to be. But you got this really cool bookcase up there. You've got, I guess it's supposed to be like a lava lamp and a book back there. Not quite sure. But we got this really nice bed build along with a light, and it does actually light up. You got some jewels and drinks and stuff. One window up there, and then a computer desk with some stuff way up there. All in all, pretty decent build. It looks nice overall. Let's go ahead. We're going to open up this door right up here. Oops, I knocked over my bike. Now, in here, in order to get to the light, the way they have it set up, it is this little box right there. And you've got kind of a green light there. You have to turn it in. There's a huge gap here where the door opens up to this. So the door feels kind of like an afterthought. And there's also a little bit of a gap over there, which is also kind of weird. Something that I would love to fix by just getting some of these salmon colored bricks to stack up there just to cover that up. Because I don't necessarily like having that space open like that. So things that light up, you get of course the street lamp that lights up. And this whole street lamp here is actually a really, really cool build. I enjoyed that quite a bit. Now, on the inside, you do have one lamp here, and one thing that I would probably rebuild is that this uses proprietary bricks, a lot like Luma bricks, where this runs through the wall. However, I don't like having, if I can avoid having a wire in a wall, I'm going to do that. And I think this lamp needs to move like over there or in a different spot that's not in a place where this wire can be pinched by that. Going up top, we don't have any wires in the wall, which is the way it should be. We do get a light up above, which is nice. Only that one light, and that's all we need. We don't need anything else in there. It looks good. And then you go up, and you've got this light in the loft area. Again, each one of these areas has like a little spot where the minifig could technically climb up the ladder and go into another room. All in all, I think that it looks really cool. But some of the wiring aspect of what we're getting, and I think like the way the wiring is set up and the way some of the build is set up, there's some rebuilding things that need to occur. Um, Being someone who's done building enough at this point that I can look at it and say, okay, yeah, I see where you're starting and coming from, but design wise, I think there's some changes that need to occur. All in all, though, I will say for the price that I paid for this, and the thing is that I think I spent like in the range of about $20. I think it's going for like 30 now. Still at $30 for 1,200 pieces, almost 1,250. Yeah, 1,250 pieces. I think it's 1,243 pieces. Yeah, it is. $30 is not bad. As a matter of fact, I got the link for it there if you decide that you want to get it. Build wise, it's not bad. Did I run into frustration with some of the proprietary bricks as far as like, getting the wire in and closing them down? Yes. But some of that can be, fiddled with, moved around and replaced, and it could make the build kind of easier. All in all, I would definitely suggest it if you're into city building and you like these kind of old school sort of houses. The salmon pink sort of lavender color, I think for me looks great. Now, it is not modular, and by modular we mean where you could take off whole sections, boop, take it off, do it that way. You can't do it. It's going to be more like a dollhouse. And in that dollhouse, meaning very much that just the sides open up. And that's just, I think that's the nature of this build. I have another house that was like a sweet pea house. That was like one of those like weird sort of like, oh man, I can't remember it was a weird, I can't even remember the name of the company, but basically the house is called a sweet pea. And it's cute, it's very nice, but it didn't have a back at all. And it was supposed to be modular, but it doesn't actually break apart the right way because of the way that they do the bricks. So it's like, what was the point in even putting like the modified plates and jumpers on there in order to reduce the amount of studs if you can't even take it apart without destroying the actual porch? So with a lot of these companies, you're going to be getting things that aren't like the toppest tier quality as far as build, but it's still not a bad build overall. And I quite enjoyed it, honestly. I would totally get this. I think, in my opinion, it's well worth it. Like I said, I'll have the link down below. Listen, as a matter of fact, speaking of links and all that, if you have not subscribed, be sure to subscribe. Hit that bell for notifications to be alerted if anything comes from me to you. Like this video, helps you to know what you like what I'm making, and I'm hoping that this mission of helping us become better budgeted brick builders by finding those sets that are out there that are kind of worthy and things that you should look at when you're going into them. Hopefully that's meeting you and helping us, save a little bit of money in our wonderful hobby that we have, right? Hey, listen, get something out of the shop, subscribe, like this video, share this out with some friends. You know the routine. Hey, I thank you all for showing up. I really do. I appreciate it. I love you all. Listen, Jesus loves you more. There's nothing you can do about it. Good luck with the build. Happy brick hunting.